this out of Primanti Brothers, and they said it's a private event.
You're terrible actors. You are terrible people.
Tell us again what happened at Primanti Brothers?
They kicked us out of Primanti Brothers so that they could get the paid actors inside.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
So there's all the paid actors.
Look at all these people. My God.
Holy hell. All these actors and these vans.
Later.
We paid for everybody's food. We gave him a nice tip. And of course, when I gave him a nice tip, I said, no taxes on tip. So, it's all right. Don't hold it against her. She just got a little nervous, but it's a great local business. Let's keep on supporting it. And most importantly, November 5th or before, go vote. Let's go win this thing.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about a very interesting story out of Pennsylvania. As JD Vance is on the campaign trail ahead of his debate with Tim Walz that's coming up next week. A debate that I think is going to be absolutely fire. I cannot wait to see JD Vance destroy Tim Walz. I have absolutely zero doubt in my mind. Zero doubt in my mind that JD is going to show out, okay? This is exactly why JD was picked, right? He was picked for this moment that's going to come up in a few days, and I'm extremely excited about it, okay? But until then, we have to cover stories like this that are very unfortunate, but I think stories like this are important because it really shows you the level of Trump derangement that is prevalent in this country to the point where Trump supporters are being openly discriminated against by certain restaurants, okay? Like, for example, Primanti Bros out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, seems to have a history of discriminating against Trump supporters and even the Trump campaign itself, right? Because we've covered this story before involving this restaurant kicking out Trump supporters who were dining, okay, having a nice meal. They kicked them out at about 3 p.m. or so with no warning, no notice, because Kamala Harris was in town, right? Kamala Harris was coming to the restaurant with her paid actors, okay, and they needed to kick everybody out of the restaurant because Kamala Harris couldn't just walk up to the restaurant and just show up like a normal person and, you know, just see what happens, right? She's afraid that she'd get booed, okay? That she would not get the opportunity for the photo op that she's looking for everywhere that she goes, right? So this restaurant decided to play ball with Kamala Harris to kick out a bunch of Trump supporters who were paying, okay? And they started protesting on the side of the street as Kamala Harris was pulling in. That's what you guys saw at the beginning of this video. I covered this story maybe a month ago, and now, lo and behold, I'm covering another story about this restaurant that seems to have a bias towards Democrats and against Republicans, because now there are reports that this restaurant essentially banned JD Vance from being able to do a similar campaign stop at the restaurant to what Kamala Harris did just about a month ago. Except the difference is that JD Vance did not show up with a busload of actors to be a part of a big photo op, right? JD Vance pulled up like a normal human being, right? He wasn't worried about whether or not they'd be Democrats or Kamala Harris supporters at the restaurant. He just pulled up. And when he pulled up, the manager of this restaurant had a full-blown meltdown, even though she knew that JD Vance was coming, okay, according to the customers that was there, because a bunch of Trump supporters showed up due to the fact that they heard that JD Vance was going to be there. So she knew when he pulled up, she basically told him, no, you can't make a campaign stop here, and even threatened to call the police on him. And that is when chaos erupted. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and show you guys some of the raw footage of the Trump supporters in the restaurant getting upset, basically threatening to leave when this manager doesn't allow JD Vance into the restaurant. And then I'm going to show you guys a news clip covering the story, giving both sides of the story, and then we'll go from there. So without further ado, roll the clip.
It's a riot. The manager went outside, told them they need to leave. They will call the police if he comes out. Unfortunately, he cannot come in. So what's going to happen is that they're going to take down our name, all our information, so the next time the kitchen crew's running out, because everyone's canceling their orders. Everyone just canceled all the orders, and we're just paying for what we drink, and then everyone's leaving. But yes, unfortunately, Vance cannot come out of his car, cannot shake our hands, because Primanti Brothers does not want him in here whatsoever. So that is what's happening. Yeah, there you go.
that we leave.
Yep.
We are now banned from Primanti Brothers.
Yep. Terrible. So there's the VP. This is as close as we're going to get to him.
They will call.
Outside of the parking lot, we're taking names and phone numbers of everybody for minutes.
Absolutely. But that is it.
Everybody waiting for their first.
Walk down to the end of the sidewalk.
Yep.
Republican Vice President JD Vance is here in Western Pennsylvania this weekend. While here, KDKA's Ricky Sayer looked into this and joins us now from Monroeville.
A Primanti spokesperson tells us this all comes down to some momentary confusion for members of their staff. We're told there was no advance notice that Vance would be coming. They also say they have long hosted political candidates from across the spectrum. The North for Sale's Primanti Brothers has suddenly been thrust into the political spotlight.
Vance was banned from Primanti Brothers. He was banned from making a stop there for political reasons.
A Primanti Brothers spokesperson says what Washington County Republican Party Chair Sean Logue told us is inaccurate. Logue is one of what he says were about 100 Trump supporters who'd been tipped off that Vance planned to make a stop there. They arrived about an hour early.
The manager told patrons, other Republicans, that Vance is not allowed to make a campaign stop at Primanti Brothers. And then when there was pushback to say, wait a second, Kamala Harris just did this a month ago, the response was, well, if he wants to sit down and order food, we can't stop him.
Vance arrived ahead of another campaign stop in Monroeville.
And next thing you know, the manager runs out and tells him that he is not allowed in the restaurant, that he cannot have a campaign stop here. And if he goes into the restaurant, she will call the police and file trespassing charges on him. I think it's absolutely insane.
Many Trump supporters exited the restaurant and began taking pictures with Vance outside. Primanti says Vance and his team were then welcomed into the restaurant where they were able to talk with guests. Logue tells a different story.
Number one, he was not welcomed. And then JD Vance, on his own accord, risking a trespass charge, walked into Primanti's, paid the bill for all of us, and walked out 2 minutes later.
Before leaving, Vance addressed those outside.
Look, I think what happened is she just freaked out a little bit because there were a lot of people and she didn't want to make her restaurant part of a campaign stop. It's all right. Don't hold it against her. She just got a little nervous, but it's a great local business. Let's keep on supporting it.
Primanti says what Vance shared was accurate.
Senator Vance is a true gentleman, and he was being very nice and very gracious, and he was being magnanimous. And he didn't want to cause any other problems. I'm being honest with you. I'm telling you that the way Primanti Brothers treated me and the other Republicans is absolutely unacceptable, and nowhere in their statement is an apology. Where's my apology, Primanti Brothers?
Primanti says they are glad what happened was resolved quickly. In North for Sales, Ricky Sayer, KDK TV News.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, I 100% believe this Republican Party chair. And part of the reason why is because the manager of that restaurant is a woman, right? I'm so serious, okay? I'm so serious. When I heard that the manager was a she, I said, oh, damn. It makes sense, right? All of this makes sense. I am not surprised because if the manager is a woman, then it is likely that they're probably a supporter of Kamala Harris and the Democrats. And this manager let her political viewpoint get in the way of business, really, because this same restaurant had no problems allowing Kamala Harris to pull up with her paid actors and kicking out all of their real customers. Okay, kicked out a bunch of Trump supporting customers in favor of Kamala Harris, right? Had no issues with Kamala Harris pulling up at all. But when JD Vance pulls up, all of a sudden there's a problem. Now they claim that, hey, we weren't given advance notice and yada, yada, yada. But it's like, I really don't believe that in the sense that you already had Trump supporters that were there, right? And they already had tipped you off, letting you know that, hey, JD Vance was showing up. That's why they were there. So you knew it was a possibility that he would be there. So to pretend as if the restaurant manager was freaked out when she saw Secret Service pull up with JD Vance is, to me, kind of ridiculous, because you shouldn't be surprised at all considering how you should have known that he was coming due to the fact that people were already there telling you that, hey, we heard that he's coming, and you knew that he was in town, okay, and you knew it was a possibility, right? And if you see Secret Service pull up, what are you freaking out about? It's Secret Service, okay? I mean, it's not like JD Vance is the mob, right? Like you got some like mobsters, pulling up to the restaurant, like, El Chapo or something, right? The stories about El Chapo pulling up to restaurants in Mexico. Nah, that's not what this was, right? It wasn't that, okay? There was nothing to be afraid of, okay? It was just JD Vance and Secret Service. So this story that they're telling, which is that, hey, there was some confusion or whatever, okay, because of JD Vance pulling up without any notice, I'm just not buying into it. I personally think that this woman saw the writing on the wall once the Trump supporting customers said, you know what, we're canceling our orders and we're leaving, because essentially you are discriminating against JD Vance in a way that you didn't do for Kamala Harris, which is fair game. I mean, this is strike two, okay? Come on now. I don't think it's a coincidence that you kicked out Trump supporters before in favor of Kamala Harris, and now all of a sudden you're basically banning JD Vance, right? Threatening to call the police on him. I don't think that's a coincidence. This is strike two, okay? We don't need strike three to know exactly what's going on here, right? We kind of can see what's happening. This restaurant clearly has a political lean, okay? Clearly they're letting their politics get in the way of business, right? Because if you're going to allow Kamala Harris to do the campaign stop, why can't you allow JD Vance? Now, again, I get it. JD Vance may not have given advance notice, but you did get advance notice because the people there told you that, hey, he's coming. Okay, and this restaurant has a history of being a political campaign stop. So it's something that you should definitely be prepared for, right? Especially as a manager, you should kind of have a way of dealing with these types of situations, right? There should be protocols in place just in case a candidate decides to make a campaign stop. How is the restaurant going to handle it? Now, I get it. It's stressful. You got all these extra people coming into the restaurant. Maybe you don't have the help that you need. So I can understand that it can be a strain on the business, right? It can be a strain on the employees to deal with all that. But the way she dealt with it was not good, right? That's not the way you deal with it. She dealt with it in the worst way possible. She made it a national news story and highlighted another example of mistreatment towards Trump supporters from this restaurant, okay? This has happened multiple times. And if I am a Trump supporter in Pittsburgh, I probably would not eat at this restaurant anymore, right? I would just choose to take my business somewhere else because clearly this business does not value Trump supporters as customers, and they're showing political favoritism in a way that, again, is discriminatory towards Trump supporters, is discriminatory towards the Trump campaign, and that's just not something that, I would be able to tolerate personally, okay? So I think that this restaurant definitely goofed up. I definitely think that the manager is probably some Trump deranged liberal woman that decided to try to, ban JD Vance. Okay. And when she realized that, oh, wait, this is going to be a national news story. Oh, wait, we're going to lose a lot of money off this. Then she ended up panicking and made up this story, basically trying to, say that it was confusion and, yada, yada, yada. Nah, it wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't confusion. You just realized how bad of a decision this was. And when you realize that, you tried to change the story and clean it up. But, I'm not buying it, right? Me personally, I'm not buying it. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.